Yo, before the podcast starts, remember to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a review, and don't forget to tell a friend so we can all have a conversation. This is a warning message to let you know this podcast is not for the easily offended. If you get offended easily, you're advised to turn off now. If you're still here listening, thank you and enjoy the show. What's up with the world? It's your boy Sleepy J. You're tuned into the Sleep Talking Podcast. I am your host, Sleepy J. I want to welcome you guys back. I think it's been, 2 weeks, I guess, since the last time I uploaded. I apologize for these breaks in between. I'm not trying to do that. It's just kind of what's been happening, being busy, trying to figure out where I'm going to record, how I'm going to record, and all that type of stuff. But again, I'm here. I'm back. I'm ready to do this. What's new? If you guys are here, I am on my YouTube channel, Sleep Vision. So if you're here on the Sleep Vision channel, I appreciate you guys for watching me from over there. If you're just listening to the audio on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or whatever it is, thank you guys for continuing to check me out from there. It is a small transition for me to be in front of this camera like I am right now. But again, I'm working through it, trying to figure out where to set up, how to set up, lighting, camera, all that type of stuff. So please bear with me while I'm growing and figuring that out. But Happy New Year, everybody. It's 2026. This year, I am declaring it the year of the Lockin. What does that mean? For me, I'm just trying to lock in on everything that I am doing. I am trying to lock in on all my businesses, whether it's my print business. I'm trying to get that up and going and growing. Get it to be funding everything that I'm trying to do. And then eventually, hopefully, the music stuff will start to fund everything and the podcast will help. So I'm just, I'm a jack of all trades when it comes to being an entertainer, being in the business, things of all that. If you guys don't know why I do all that type of stuff, because a lot of people get confused, like, what are you doing? Are you doing music? Are you printing? Are you doing podcasts? What is it? And the truth of the matter is, the goal is always to get my label up and running. The goal was always to have a roster of artists performing and doing things like that. And then in the way of growing and figuring out how to do things, I found ways to cut cost. So I found it easier if I could print my own merch, then I didn't have to pay somebody to make it, and it made more profits for my business and things like that. So that's why I started doing the printing. Podcasting came along because it seemed like maybe it's a way to get in the door. I like doing the podcast. I like talking music and things of that nature. So that's where I started doing the podcast. It's all stemmed from me trying to do music and just, one thing feeding the next thing and just trying to build a brand, build awareness of who I am, what I do, and things like that. So if you guys don't know, that's how I got into doing all of this stuff. Like, as a independent artist, as an independent record label, you got to learn to cut costs where you can. You got to learn to do a lot of things on your own until you can afford to pay someone else to do those things that you either don't have time to do or just don't want to do. But until the money is coming in, it's just easier for you to do it yourself for money purposes. So a lot of things I do myself, or I have favors from friends and family that help me get the things done that I need to get done. But all of that to be said, like, I'm locking in this year. Like, the goal of the end of this year is just to be better off than I ever been before. Get out my businesses. If they're not self-funding and self, if they're not funding themselves, if I'm not still only working for them, then to at least be closer to it than I ever been before. But the goal is to be self-employed by the end of the year. My goal is to have the printing business running so well that it is funding all of my other endeavors, and then gives me the freedom to start working more on my music, working more on the podcast, and those things will hopefully start to generate enough money that then I can transition to hiring more people to help do everything that I'm doing and things of that nature. I know it's a long road. It's a hard road. I know it's not going to be as easy as it sounds as when you're planning it out, but I believe in myself, and I'm going to work to get there. Luckily, I have time off from my job so many days a week to commit to doing my content creations, whether it's for my shorts, whether it's for my YouTube, whatever it is. Like, whatever I'm working on, I have a few days a week, more than just two, to focus on this stuff. So I am going to do my best. I know I got, trips and things like that that'll be coming up this year. But again, it's the year of locking in and growing. And so that's what I plan on doing this year. I hope you guys got plans. I hope you guys are off to a great start. And if not, it's cool. It's only, day 9, 10 into the new year. So you still got plenty of time. There's 365 days in a year. You might have messed up. Maybe you've already had to step back. Maybe you're trying to lose weight, whatever it is. You still got time to figure it out. Do what you want to do. Some people wait till springtime because they feel like that's when the new year starts. Some people wait till their birthday because they feel like that's when I started on earth, so it's my reset. So whatever it is, man, just when you do it, commit to it, lock in, and just go for it. And sorry to go on this, positive rant already. My message is always going to be positivity, mostly because I feel like there's enough negativity in the world that I want to be positive and share positive messages as much as I can. But aside from that, guys, New Year's is already in the bag. We're already here. We're focusing. We're growing. We're trying to figure everything out. What I did for New Year's, I went out with the old lady. We went to dinner, had a nice dinner. Came home. We watched a couple movies. The movies that I did watch, man, I watched this one real trippy movie. I think it was called The Watchers, with Dakota Fanning. It was a cool, interesting take, a different horror movie, but I liked it. It was different. It was a strange, kind of a sci-fi type of situation about fairies that were watching humans and that they could shape-shift and take over their lives. It was interesting. If you want to check it out, something different to watch, I suggest that. I also watched The Long Walk. I read the book. Took me a long time to read the book. I actually quit reading it because I wanted to watch the movie and kind of get an idea of what these people look like based on the movie. But I watched the movie, and I want to say they did an amazing job as actors. I think all of them deserve rewards because the characters that you learn to hate, you learn to love the other ones, and you genuinely believe the fear that they are going through. And so I definitely enjoyed The Long Walk. I think you guys should watch it if you guys haven't. It's a Stephen King book. It's not a Stephen King book based on everything else. It's not like it. It's not like Carrie. It's not like the scary horror stuff. It still has its horror elements to it, but it's more an apocalyptic type of feel, post-war, the country's in shambles, they're trying to figure it out type of thing. But I found this out that he actually wrote the book under another name. Just whenever they figured out that he was Stephen King that was writing them, they kind of got outed, and that's where the book kind of came out and all that stuff. But it was a good book. I definitely suggest reading the book. I suggest watching the movie. But nonetheless, man, let's go ahead and keep it moving. I got a lot to talk about today, and I really just don't know where to start. So just give me a moment to figure out where we should go. The NFL season is over. We are entering the playoffs. I believe they start Saturday. So this will come out just in time for that. So with the regular season over in the AFC, we got the Texans and the Steelers still in. We got the Bills and the Jaguars still in. The Chargers and the Patriots are still in. The Broncos are on a bye. And then on the NFC side, we got the Rams and the Panthers, the 49ers and the Eagles, the Packers and the Bears and the Seahawks are on a bye till the next round. And I'm going to make some predictions on who I think will win. I think the Steelers win over the Texans. I think the Jaguars will win over the Bills. I think the Chargers will beat the Patriots. And then I don't know how it'll line up and who will go against the Broncos, but we'll see how that goes. And then I think the Rams beat the Panthers. I think the Eagles beat the 49ers. I think the Packers beat the Bears. And I don't know who will play Seahawks. When we talk about football, I always say when it comes to this time of the year, there's always a team that sneaks their way all the way to the Super Bowl. And my prediction on AFC side, who could sneak all the way to the Super Bowl, I think it could be the Steelers. They had a rough start to the season. They criticized Mike Tomlin so much in the past year or two, maybe 5-10 years now. They criticize Aaron Rodgers for the last 3 seasons, and I think that they had such a rough time that they could just sneak their way all the way to the Super Bowl. As far as for the AFC, it's open season. It could be anybody this year. I think we're going to see a new dynasties rise. Like, when I say dynasties in the NFL, there's three teams that'll kind of sit at the top for the next 3 to 5 years, and that's a dynasty's 3 years in NFL time. Who's going to be in the Super Bowl, things like that. And since Kansas City's out this year, I don't think Philly's going to have a good shot going all the way this year. So I think we're going to see a new rise to some potential teams that we'll be talking about for the next few years. But on the NFC side, I think the Rams beat the Panthers, the Eagles beat the 49ers. Oh, I already said all that. My bad. But the team that I think that will sneak over from the NFC, if it is the NFC, what nobody really realized is the Seahawks. Like the Seahawks, nobody really paid attention to them because everyone's been talking about the Eagles and everyone's been talking about Kansas City and everyone's always talking about the Cowboys. And there's just certain teams that we just don't pay attention to. And I think the Seahawks were a team that they were winning, but nobody was paying attention to them. The Steelers, I think, are just the underdog that could run the wild card and run the table potentially. Aaron Rodgers is one of those players. He's no longer throwing Hail Marys and beating everybody, but he's keeping the team in the game long enough that you can't count them out until they're out. So with that being said, those are the teams, those are my predictions that I got going on in the NFL. Moving on in more sports news, Anthony Joshua was in a car accident after beating after the win again over Jake Paul. He did have 2 friends pass away. He got hurt. There are some rumors that he's going to retire. I read something that said that his uncle has released a statement saying that Anthony Joshua will be retiring. He hasn't announced it yet, but it is looking like that might be what he wants to do. Apologies to him, or not apologies, what do you call it? Peace, love, light, healing energy to him and his family, his friends, everybody. Hopefully he has a recovery. If he chooses not to box anymore, he don't have to. He's been 2-time champion. He's came, seen, conquered, did everything he needed to. But if he still has it in him to fight, I hope he does. It's going to be hard to fight whenever your friends that were also part of your training team have passed and you were part of it and all of that. So I understand why he would want to quit. But moving on, Jake Paul, he's been stripped of his ranking. He has been suspended indefinitely by the Fighting Commission. Basically, they want to make sure that he can pass all health requirements to fight. He got his jaw broken in 2 spots in this fight against Joshua. And so they're looking at it as a safety thing. Like, he really got hurt pretty bad. I'm thinking he's potentially out for 2 years because of this, just because of the 2 breaks in his jaw, the time it's going to take to heal, the time it's going to take for him to get back into shape, be able to do that. If he's able to come back, I think he is looking at a hard road to get back into fighting. He's already in his 30s to be fighting as a professional, trying to go for championships. I don't see it for him, never did, but I know it's going to be a hard road if he's going to try to continue to fight. There's been a lot of internet speculations on that he's probably going to retire after that loss because it was such a brutal loss, hard loss for him. So I don't know. We will see how that goes, but I don't know. I'm still trying to figure all that stuff out. But that's all my sports news for right now. Let's get into some entertainment, podcasting, radio, music news was what I call it. I don't know. But Charlamagne got a big deal with Netflix for podcasts. It sounds like Netflix is trying to make a play to do similar streaming things with Netflix like YouTube does. So they're going to be offering a lot of different things for creators, podcasts, things like that to try and get more people to want to be on their platform. So I think this is an interesting thing to watch out for. Nobody's really been able to take on YouTube because YouTube is pretty much content creators run it and they just sell advertisement to the highest ones that are on the highest performers on the platform. So we will see how that plays out moving forward. Ebro in the Morning from Hot 97 has been taken off the air. They have created a new podcast called Ebro, Laura, and the Rosenberg in the Morning Show. They get on Monday through Friday from what it seems like. They pretty much have their radio show. They just do it on YouTube only. Maybe they're going to do some Patreon stuff and things like that. But they're basically creating a podcast off of the show that they once had on the radio. That's still flushing and figuring out. I've been listening to it. It's an interesting thing for them to do. But, I've been a fan of them. I quit watching Hot 97 mostly because they weren't doing interviews that I wanted to hear. And their internet presence wasn't the same as the Breakfast Club. Like, I would listen to the Breakfast Club every day. I listen to Brown Bag in the mornings every day. Hot 97 just doesn't have that same internet presence as those guys do. So we'll see how that turns out. Also, 50 Cent's been going at it with everybody. 50 Cent against the world, I'll tell you what. He was going at it with Pat Poose and Clarissa Shields over the Christmas break. Fabulous has dropped a diss at 50. Jim Jones and 50 Cent been going at it. And all of this stems off of many different things. Even the mayor of New York's been going at 50 Cent. So he's got, again, all of New York versus 50 Cent. It's been a thing I've been seeing. And a lot of it stems off of, one, he doesn't like the mayor of New York. He said a few comments of the mayor while he was running. And the mayor has seen it, made his responses towards him. Jim Jones has had ongoing beef with 50 for a long time, but while they've been going at it, Jim Jones has a podcast studio and a podcast and things like that. The owner of the building tried to sell it to 50 Cent. 50 Cent's been exposing all the messages about it, talking about Jim Jones, and they just kind of been having this little petty back and forth. Fabulous finally had enough of it because he's part of this Jim Jones situation. He dropped some bars on it. Pat Poose finally spoke up, dropped some bars, dropped some memes. Clarissa Shields, being Pat Poose's new girlfriend, got kind of involved in it. So it's been this ongoing thing back and forth between them. It's been entertaining at very least. I don't know if anybody cares about what it's really about. It's just kind of when people go at 50 Cent, he is pretty funny, great at the clapbacks. Let's get into these politics. This is not something I like to really do, but I have a platform. I have the opportunity to say my piece, and this is mostly stemming off of I see people in my so-called friend group, or at least people that I've known in my life, whether it's, middle school, elementary school friends to whatever. Maybe we're not friends. Maybe we're not whatever. We just kept in contact because the internet allows us to keep contact, but I see a lot of people talking about this Venezuela and United States stuff, and I really don't, not to sound bad, but I don't have a whole lot to say about it because we know what it's about. Donald Trump, the big thing about it is it's not that Donald Trump stepped in and went into Venezuela to regulate and free the people that needed to be freed by a dictator. If that's what he was really trying to do, hats off to him. It seems more like he's over there just trying to get oil more than anything. And he's putting people in position to bleed them dry of their resources. And, when I was younger, I used to think like, man, it's kind of crazy is like back in the day when you learn about Napoleon or you learn about Genghis Khan or whatever, like you learn how they used to just run into different countries and take them over and say they're now our territory, they're now a part of our country. The Romans did things like this. Like you heard about this stuff back in the day. And when I was growing up, I was like, man, I wonder why they stopped doing that. But then I've learned, we have weapons of mass destruction. You got atomic bombs and things like that, real artillery and things like that. And it became a dangerous game when all the other countries started making these type of advances. So that's why we don't do it. The problem that I have is now with Donald Trump not asking Congress to go ahead and do what he did over this Christmas break, now we have to worry about, are there other countries going to jump in? Do we have to worry about Russia? Do we got to worry about Japan, China, any other NATO? Like all these countries are starting to say, hey, you guys are moving beyond your power. You're doing too much. And it's only a matter of time before someone tries to buck back. And that's what I'm worried about when it comes to doing something like what they did to Venezuela. He's making threats about taking over Greenland because he thinks it's a national security thing for us. He's talked about going to Mexico. He's talked about doing the same thing in Canada. Like, these things, like, idle threats or not, someone's going to eventually call your card, and it's going to be a problem. And that's what I concern myself with when it comes to things of the Venezuela situation. This Venezuela situation reminds me a lot like in 2001, whenever George Bush went to war in the Middle East. And we all know that it was over oil back then, whether he admitted to it or not, however you want to lay it. It did. Our oil prices went up. Everyone's oil prices went up. They blamed it on the war. And then even after the war is over, nothing changed. Our oil stayed at the same rates that we were paying. So I don't know. This is what I concern myself with when it comes to this. Like, the president's abuse of power, not doing the regulations with Congress and things of that nature. But aside from this stuff that's going on, I have issues with ICE. Now, everyone's probably heard by now that the Minneapolis woman that got shot by ICE when she was just trying to warn her neighbors that ICE was in the city or was in the neighborhood and all this and that, and they tried to say that she tried to run over an ICE agent, and that's why she got shot 3 times. It's not what it looks like on camera. I've seen multiple different views. I've seen people trying to save her, trying to help her. They denied those people from trying to help her. I've seen a lot of abuse of power, a lot of abuse of authority, a lot of people being complacent with what happened as far as for what ICE did. Now, my concern or my thoughts on this is I'm seeing a lot of communities start pushing back on ICE. I've seen it happen in New York. I've seen it happen in Chicago. I'm seeing Philly starting to say, like, if they come over here fucking around, they're going to find out. I'm seeing this all over. And one thing I never understood about politics is the government says that they are doing things that the people want. People are wanting immigration to come through these neighborhoods and make their neighborhoods so-called safer. But if the neighborhoods are pushing them out, then it doesn't seem like it's what the people want. And that's what I don't understand. I don't understand how when a president gets elected and he's wins by the electoral college and not by the popular vote. If the people or the populace are not wanting this person in, then how is this happening? That's one thing I never understood about politics. I still don't understand that about politics. If the masses are saying that we want to legalize marijuana, yet the government is saying, no, it's illegal, how is that so? I don't understand this. Like, if the majority of the people are wanting this, then why isn't it a thing? I don't get it. I'm in a democratic country, in a democratic world, why isn't it a true democracy? And why aren't we going by majority rules? That's what I don't understand. Again, I'm seeing people protest. I'm seeing memorials for this young lady who got shot. And unfortunately, she lost her life, but she's not the first person to lose her life. I think they said there was 30 people that died last year by ICE detention centers and things of that nature. This one's probably going to get the most hype around it because she was a white lady, and it is unfortunately for her family and her friends and all of that. But if this is what it's going to take to get people to see what's going on and really understand what people are going through, sorry that she had to be the martyr for it. Sorry that that had to happen. But if this is what we need to see so that way we can start seeing changes, I've heard some people speaking up saying they need to fight back and things of that nature. I'm not going to advise anybody to do that. Not violently. That's the word I'm looking for. You can write your Congress people, you can write your senators, you can write everybody. You can do your protests as long as they're peaceful. You can warn your friends and family and your neighbors whenever you see these, raids that are going on. But do not engage in a violent situation because you're only going to make it worse. For yourself, as well as your community, as well as the people around. Don't be a pushover. If they're being violent with you and you're in the right and you can, first of all, it's important that you make it home. Second of all, do what you got to do to survive. Take that however you want to take it. But let's leave the politics alone. Sorry for having to even get into that. I don't like to do that, mostly because I'm educated, but I'm not that educated to go too far into that. But moving forward, let's get into some music stuff. What have I been listening to? For the past couple weeks, I've been listening to this Tha Product Before I Crash Out album, and I've been listening to Ciera, the rapper. I think she's called Trapperella or something like that. Both albums are very solid, very good albums. I didn't give them a rating. If you guys want, I can give those ratings. But that's what I've been listening to lately. I've been just trying to get myself into the mood and mode of releasing my own music. I got a couple singles planned to come out. New single should be out in a couple weeks, and then I got another one following. And I'm just recording new music, making beats, doing things like that. So if you're interested in my music and the things that I do musically, be prepared. There's a lot of stuff that'll be coming out this year. Chris Chaos's EP is still out. Chicanery, please check that out. But yeah, there's just been so much going on, man. I really don't know what to say, what to do. A lot of music. Initially, when I was doing this podcast idea for this week, I did want to do slept on albums of last year, or just like my favorite albums of last year. I didn't do that just because I didn't, flush out the idea. But again, I'm still working on a lot of stuff, figuring out the format, how I'm going to do this, how am I going to record each episode visually for you guys, where I'll record, how I'm getting all the audio. I got people reaching out to me because they want to do episodes where they're getting interviewed, things like that. So all of this is still growing and figuring it out. I am doing my best. Again, I'm locking in. I am trying to make this happen. I will try not to make this a every other week thing, but at least you're getting some content from me. But I will be posting things. So please subscribe on all of my social medias at SleepyJ, SLEEP, either EJ or _E_J. Those are all my handles on everything. TikTok, whatever is out there. If it's not EJ, the letter E and J, or hyphenated or underscored E and J, it's not me. I usually leave it in the descriptions if you're looking for it. Well, with that being said, guys, until next time, I'm sending y'all nothing but peace, love, positive light thoughts, and prayers. I'll see y'all later.